New to investing, confused how to begin, where to begin. Maybe you are a newly married couple, or you have been married for many years, but you haven't meaningfully saved or invested. And you're worried, you're wondering, will I have enough for my children, for their education, for my retirement? I'm sure you have a lot of these questions, and that's why you want to watch this video. Yes, there is a way. And if you think that you have missed the bus, you did not invest at the right time, but your friends and your relatives have invested, don't worry. You can start investing today. Ensure that you follow this video till the end. Follow the step-by-step approach I'm going to share with you. Follow this approach and trust me, you can build your wealth. In fact, I'm going to share with you how to build your wealth faster than many in this country, many in this world. Many are not aware of how to grow your wealth faster. Of course, there is no shortcut. There is no shortcut to growing your wealth. It's a long journey. Nevertheless, if you follow the right steps as a couple, trust me, you can build your wealth. You need the right approach, the discipline, patience, and the right understanding of how to invest, where to invest, and in this journey of investing, how to protect your wealth. Yes, there is a lots to investing and growing your wealth faster. I want you to be patient, listen to this video, make notes, and I urge you to sit with your spouse. If you, as a husband, are watching this, I request you to sit with your spouse. And if you, as a wife, I request you to sit with your husband. Because what I'm going to share with you, I want both of you to be aware. Because building wealth as a family is a teamwork. And if you do that together, you will not only grow in your wealth, but you will also grow in your relationship. Hi, I'm Frankie Fernandez. I'm a financial coach. And I'm also a marriage coach. I'm a certified financial planner and a certified marriage coach. And I understand both the worlds. And I believe that true wealth is when you can grow your wealth and also grow your relationship. So in this video, I'm going to share with you a step-by-step approach to building your wealth. Maybe you're newly married, maybe you're married for many years, but you don't know where to start. It's never too late. You can start right today. Let's dive into this session. So there are basically three things for a good financial plan where your wealth will grow and you can protect your wealth. And the three components of this plan are: number one, a spending plan. Number two, a risk plan. And number three, investment plan. So even before we get into the investment plan, I want you to remember that spending plan and the risk plan are very, very important. Let's talk briefly about the spending plan and the risk plan. What is a spending plan? Spending plan begins with budgeting. So if you do not budget or do not track your expenses, then you cannot really build your wealth. You cannot jump to an investment plan. So prepare your budget, and in your budget, set aside 10% or more for investing. That's why I talked about the spending plan. Because when you have your budget written down, ensure that you also budget for a 10% to save, to set aside. Unless you have this discipline, you cannot grow your wealth, because growing your wealth is not a sporadic event. It's not a sporadic activity, impulsive activity. It's something that you do month on month on month. So if you have a salary, or if you get a take home salary of 50,000, set aside 5,000 for savings. Rest of the 90% is what you will do your spending on. Yes, there are some who also set aside 10% of their take home for giving in charity to the church or to the poor or wherever. So if you are someone who gives, so set aside 10% to give, 10% for savings, and you spend the rest of the money. Let's talk about this 10% that you have set aside for saving. So let's talk about the spending plan. Now, what's a spending plan? Spending plan includes a good budget. You may be spending during the month on various things. Probably you give in charity. So you have your necessary expenses called the living expenses, where you will be spending on groceries, food, vegetables, fruits, your gas, travel, mobile bill, school fees, your all your EMIs. So all that is what you are spending. So if you want to start growing your wealth, if you want to start investing, the first thing that you need to do is set aside 10% or more for savings and investing. Very crucial that you start with this discipline. Without this discipline, you cannot grow your wealth. And investing is not a sporadic activity. You have to do it month on month, every month, the same amount, or increase the amount once in a while, but never a sporadic event. So, number one is that you budget and set aside your money. Control over your spending is really the key to growth. It is not the salary that makes you rich. It is your spending habits that makes you rich. So remember that this discipline is very important. And some of you watching may be having loans. Probably you have taken a loan for your wedding or for education or something else. And right now, as a part of your budget, you also have loans. So my strong recommendation is that you repay your loans first. In a separate video, I have explained how to get rid of your loans and why to get rid of your loans. The title of the video is Get Rid of Your Loans and Build Your Wealth and Your Marriage. Please watch that. Number two comes the risk plan. Now, once you have set your spending plan, very important part of growing your wealth is to have a good risk plan. And what's a risk plan? Risk plan includes three things: having a term insurance, having a health insurance, and having an emergency fund. In a separate video, I have shared this in detail. Please watch the video. Risk planning comes first. I've explained in detail what is a risk plan and how it can help you, right? So once you have these two in place, then comes the investment plan, right? Before I get into the investment plan, let me again reiterate why it is important to have these two plans: the spending plan and the risk plan. Risk plan is something that will protect your wealth, because in an emergency or in uncertain situations, you are at risk of losing your wealth. If you do not have insurance, you will have to pay from your own pocket, and that can put a huge dent into your pocket. So it's very important that you have the risk plan in place. And of course, the spending plan will help you, will enable you to do the savings. So now that we have these two in place, let's get into the investment plan. What are the components of an investment plan? The first thing that you have to do in an investment plan is write down your financial goals. You cannot start investing without a good plan. And what are financial goals? Financial goals could be your retirement goal, children's higher education goals, children's wedding goals, Maybe you have some philanthropy goals, of foreign vacation goals, a home that you want to purchase, or a car that you want to purchase. These are all financial goals, and savings and investments are done for all these goals. Now, it is very important to write down your goals because a financial goal will help you to understand where all to save, how much to save, and the time horizon. For example, if you are in your 30s, you have 30 more years to save, and your retirement fund or corpus should be able to sustain for the next 20 or 30 years of your retired life. Same goes with the children's higher studies. You are in your 30s and your children are, maybe you have a child who's age 5, which means in the next 13 years, your child will have to be enrolled to a college for higher education. Then how much do you need? So, for example, you need 10 lakhs as of today's fees, as of today's prices. So, because of inflation, it may be a much higher amount. You need to save for all these financial goals. Now, how do we find out what should be our retirement corpus or what should be the corpus for our children's education? I have a separate video called Common Financial Goals. Please watch Common Financial Goals. I have also provided a spreadsheet which you can download and you can enter your numbers and it will exactly tell you how much you need to save from today. Once you know what are your common financial goals, you will also know what is the time horizon. For example, retirement fund is after 30 years because you are 30 years now and your retirement will be most probably when you're 60. So 30 years. Maybe you want to buy a house in the next 5 years. So the time horizon is 5. Maybe you want to buy a car which is in the next 2 years. So the time horizon is 2 years. Now, technically, all these goals can be divided into three time horizons. The first time horizon is the short term time horizon. The second is the medium term horizon. Third is a long term time horizon. Now, what is a short term, medium term, and a long term time horizon? And why is it important? It is very important because based on these time horizons, you will be investing. So, it is very important to write down. So, first, write down your financial goals and then divide, segregate the financial goals into short term, medium term, long term. Short term roughly means approximately it is 1 to 2 years, which means if you have financial goals in the next 1 or 2 years, for example, you want to buy a car in the next 2 years, so it becomes a short term time horizon. Probably want to buy a house in the next 4 years, that becomes a medium term. So between 2 to 5 years are roughly approximately medium term. And then your retirement or your children's higher education, they're all beyond 5 years. So anything beyond 5 years can be termed as long term. So, right, short term, which is the next 1 or 2 years, medium term from 2 to 5 years, and long term, more than 5 years. Once you have your financial goals written down and segregated into short term, medium term, long term, then we get into the investment options. Each of these buckets, short term, medium term, and long term, these are three buckets, and you have to invest in the appropriate investment options or investment instruments. Now, typically, when investors invest, most of them who are not aware or ignorant, they would invest for all the different time horizons into one or two instruments. Maybe it could be a PPF, it could be fixed deposit, or maybe a land or gold. But that is not the right way to invest. The right way to invest is to ensure that your money grows and your money is protected, right? One side your money grows, the other side your money is protected. Now, to grow your wealth, especially for the long term, which is the long term bucket, you must ensure that you capitalize high yield instruments. Only then your wealth will grow faster and better. In fact, most of our financial goals, like retirement or children's education or houses or marriage, they're all mostly in the distant future. And so you must capitalize on investing in instruments which will give you more than inflation. If the inflation, for example, inflation in India at the moment is between 5 and 6%, your investments options should give you more than 6%. Only then you are earning, only then you're getting returns, positive returns. And the higher the interest rates or the returns, faster you will grow your wealth. For example, if you have to travel to a different city, I live in Hyderabad, and if I want to travel to Delhi or if I want to travel to Mumbai, what do I do? And I want to reach early. Which is the fastest way to go? There are many ways to go. I can take a train, I can go by car, or I can go by flight. Now, which is the fastest way to reach there? Obviously, a flight. Yes, and a flight costs more, whereas a train will cost less. But I would like to reach faster. And same goes with investments. We need to look for investment options that will take us to our destination faster. And to reach there faster, we need to ensure that we invest in investment options that give us a higher rate of return. And what instruments or what investment options will help you reach there faster? So let's start with the short term. For your short term buckets, for your short term needs, your goal should be to have enough liquidity. What do I mean by liquidity? Liquidity means that when I need money, I should be able to withdraw it at a very short notice and without any loss to my investments. For example, the best form of liquidity is cash, cash at home, or cash in the savings account. If you need something in an emergency, what do? You go to the ATM and withdraw. So all your emergency funds should be in this short-term bucket. So what are those investment options where you can have money invested for the next 1 or 2 years? Fixed deposits is a good option, or liquid funds, or ultra short-term funds in the mutual funds. These are the best options for keeping your money here. Now, remember, this is a very important part of your investment plan because you have to grow your wealth. You cannot take this money and invest in a land just because a land will give you higher returns. No, it is very illiquid. So you have to ensure that your money, which is required for the next 1 or 2 years, should be in an FD or liquid funds of mutual funds or other funds so that you can withdraw it immediately when you need it. So that's the short term. Now comes the medium term. Medium term is more than 2 years up to 5 years. For example, you want to buy a car and you want to save your money and ensure that you withdraw this money in the next 3 or 4 years. So ideally for this, you should have in debt instruments long-term debt instruments or long duration mutual funds. These are the debt funds which are slightly volatile. There is a little risk, so you should give it enough time for it to grow. That is 2 to 5 years. The second option is hybrid funds. Hybrid funds are funds which have a combination of debt and equity. So subscribe to this channel. I'll be posting a separate video on each of these buckets in detail. For now, let's focus just on understanding these buckets so that you can grow your wealth faster. So now that we've covered the short-term bucket and the medium-term bucket, let's now briefly discuss on the long-term bucket, because this is the bucket which is actually your engine for growing your wealth. Most of our financial goals are much in the future. As I just mentioned, retirement fund, children's marriage, education, all these long term are much in the future. And we need to ensure that we get the best and the highest returns, because inflation eats up on our wealth. While in the first bucket, we did not focus more on returns, but more on liquidity. In the second bucket, which is the medium term bucket, we did focus on little bit of liquidity and also on returns. But this third bucket, which is the long term bucket, our focus is not liquidity. Our focus is returns. Higher the returns, faster will be our growth and bigger will be our wealth. And this is, as I said, it's the engine for our growth. We benefit because of compounding. Highest compounding happens in the long-term bucket. And what fits in the long-term bucket? Well, how do we find out which are the investment types that have given the highest returns? And based on that, we need to make the investments. For your information, I've pulled up these two articles. Here's an article in Financial Express which tells you how 1 lakh investment in equity, gold, real estate, and US stocks has grown in the last 20 years, and which investment type or asset class has given the highest returns. And from this, we can find out that Indian equities have given the highest returns in the last 20 years, beating US equity, gold, real estate, and debt. Equities have given in the last 20 years 17%. US equity has given 12%. Gold has given 12%. Real estate has given 9%. And debt has given 7.2%. Yes, in the last 15 years, we can see that US equities have given more. But when it compared to asset classes in India, Indian equities have again beaten any other asset class. And if you look at all the different years, in the last 10 years, also, you see that the equities have done better. You often look at returns in the last 5, 10, 15, 20 years because our financial goals are all long term. Let me take you to another article. Viniyogindia.com also has done this research. Let's see what are the historical returns on asset classes in India. And if you look at this article again, yet again, it shows that the Sensex in the last 30 years, in the last 39 years, what has been the returns? And if you can see this chart, this is the Sensex, which is given 17% compounded annualized returns. And then you have gold at 9.15, FD at 7%, at 25% taxes. And the article concludes that, first of all, above data re-establishes the obvious. Stocks are by far the best asset classes to invest over long periods. If we see the pre and post inflation adjusted data, this is particularly true in India due to high inflation rate. Fixed deposits and gold that are considered safe haven by many Indians offer pathetic returns and may not be considered as an investment option for long-term wealth creation in India. And we also saw in the previous article that even land does not appreciate as much as we imagine it to be. For example, the article in Financial Express says, while property buying remains very popular in India, the real estate returns have been just 9% in 20 years, 6.5% and 4.8% in 15 and 10 years, respectively. At 6%, the real estate return in 1 year has been less than 50% of what investors have earned from Indian equities. In the last 3 and 5 years, the real estate returns have been just 4.8% and 5.2%, respectively. So, as you've seen, the real growth engine for your wealth is equities, investing in equities. And as inexperienced investors in equities, the best way to invest is in a mutual fund. What are mutual funds? Mutual funds are institutions which collect money from a large number of investors and invest the same in the stock market. And mutual funds are managed by expert fund managers or portfolio managers who have great knowledge on the markets, on the companies. And invest, so they invest on our behalf in stock markets and they generate returns. Roughly, on an average, one can get a returns of 12 to 15% going forward. In the past, we have seen it has given 15% and above. In the last 5 years, it has given even more because the markets have gone up in the last couple of years. But on an average, we can expect 12% to 15%. So it is very important that you invest your money into mutual funds. Start an SIP, a systematic investment plan. In one of my other videos, 3 things that will slow down your wealth. You can watch this video. I've explained a little bit about the SIPs. So it is very important that you start wherever you are. You may be thinking that I do not have enough money and I have so many financial goals and I need to invest so much. Don't worry. Start wherever you are. The future could be very different. Your salary may grow. Your current investments may give you high returns. Who knows the future? Trust God and start your investments right away. And as I said, equity investments are the engine for growth. So once again, short term, medium term, and long term. And since all our goals, most of our goals are long term, start investing into equities. Let's do a recap of what we have done. First, I talked about the spending plan, where I talked about budgeting. Second is the risk plan, where I talked about the insurance and emergency fund. And then the investment plan. And what do you have in the investment plan? Financial goals. Must write down your financial goals and then divide and segregate the goals into 3 buckets: short term, medium term, and long term. And since most of our investments are into long term, invest in equities. As a rule of thumb, 100 minus your age, that will tell you how much you should be investing into equities. If your age is 30, 100 minus 30 is 70, which means 70% of your investments should be into equities because that's the growth engine. Higher the money into equities, faster you will reach your destination. Having money into equities is like taking an aeroplane to fly and reach your destination. You can reach your destination by a car or a train, but that will take longer. Do you want to reach faster to your destination? Then you must invest into equities. And as I said right in the beginning, are you confused where to invest, how to invest? This is the way to invest. Follow this step-by-step approach. Subscribe to my channel. I will be posting all videos around these topics. You will find one or the other topic in some of my other videos, and you can watch each of them. Also watch Instagram. I hope you've understood at least something about investing. So do you want to start it right away? Start it today. Start your investment journey today so that you will reach faster. Every day of delay, every week of delay, every month of delay, you will lose in lakhs and crores. So do not delay. Start your investment journey right away. There is no confusion. It's very easy. It's very simple. I hope you enjoyed this video and see you soon in my next video.